Hello, everyone. I am Kayla Brissi. Thank you so much for tuning in and welcome back to the Transforming Inner Pain mini series, where you will hear inspiring stories of hope, healing, and triumphing over adversity. So today I have Sonika with us, and Sonika is a minister who helps parents to connect to God, themselves, and their families so that they can raise the next generation successfully. Sonika is going to recount her unpleasant and debilitating experience with anxiety and how it hit her like a tsunami, nearly consumed her life, leaving a trail of a mess in its wake. This story is one of her heroic efforts to find inner strength, hold on to her faith, and reclaim her life. So I am super excited for you guys to be able to meet Sonika and to hear her story. And it's an honor to have you here with us today, Sonika.
Thank you, Kayla, and thank you for having me.
You're
welcome.
welcome.
The introduction was lovely. Thank you so much.
Oh, you bet. So I am excited for you to dive in and share your story. I know we are kindred spirits on the terms of having anxiety and dealing with that and our busy schedules and running a business and being a mom, a parent. And we have good days and bad days. Let's put it that way.
Yes, absolutely.
So I'm excited for you to dive in and share so we can help others that maybe be on a similar or, same journey as you and I that are experiencing some of the things that you have experienced throughout your life. So why don't you go ahead and give us some details about you and your story and how did you get to where you are today?
Good. Thank you. I will do that. So first I'm going to start with the ending part of where I began to feel the healing, and then I will move to that.
Perfect.
So 2020 has been, I think for many people, a place of hitting rock bottom. We were stranded at home. We were limited with what we had. We had to face the fears of this illness that could take our lives. And I think that created the space for many people to feel overwhelmed with anxiety and fear and stress. And I was one of those people. 2020 hit me hard in numerous ways. I was for 4 months at home while being paid for a job that I didn't do because we couldn't go back to school. My children were at home for 4 months, not seeing friends, not seeing family, nieces and nephews gone. And I had to see that they are suffering and I am suffering and I have no way of helping them. And that created the space for this darkness. It felt like this darkness settled over me and my family. And we got this invitation from my parents to visit the ocean with them in December. And reluctantly, I said, yes, let's go. And from October, I really started to look forward. I am a Scorpio, and the Scorpio sign was actually looking forward to the water because that is what we do. And the momentum build of going on holiday. And we arrived there early the Sunday morning and we went to the shops that day. And the next day, the Monday or the Tuesday, I can't remember the details of fuzzy. I was sitting on the beach and the sun was shining on me. When I close my eyes, I can see that moment. The sun was shining on my face. The wind was breezing against my skin and I heard my children play and laugh. And I started to pray. And I said, dear Lord, I cannot continue down this road. I am exhausted. It's overwhelming. I cannot live this way anymore. Please take this burden of this darkness away and let me feel the light. And I've been a minister for 10 years. I am supposed to pray every day and I'm supposed to have this connection with God and I'm supposed to be that way. And that was the moment in my life when I really, really felt him for the first time. And I felt him sit next to me on that beach. And he said, it's okay. That presence of that moment made me feel safe again. When you suffer with anxiety, you never feel safe. You never feel safe. You don't feel safe in your body. You don't feel safe in your environment. There's no place for you to feel safe. And that was the moment for the first time in my life when I felt safe. And being
That's
a
really
minister,
powerful.
I'm supposed to feel safe. I'm supposed to
Mhm.
feel connected to him. And I didn't feel that because I didn't feel safe. And I didn't understand why I didn't feel safe. And being part of this mini series of yours has really helped me get back to the roots of the place where I don't feel safe. And what has happened in my life that took away that feeling of safety.
Mhm.
And now I can sit here today and I can say honestly that that veil of darkness has been lifted. Things don't get right. There are still struggles, there are still painful moments. But now I can see the light because I'm deeply connected to that presence of God telling me, you are safe.
Yeah, and you have that awareness of what transpired in your past that has, ultimately led to where you are, and maybe even contributed to the anxiety that you've experienced over the years. And when you have this, when the veil is lifted and you come out of the darkness into the light, you have this new appreciation, a new perspective on life, and you see things differently. You have that awareness, and you can practice more mindfulness about when things happen and anxiety, maybe kicking in a little bit more. You have the awareness to know that, and you can recognize what's happening to be able to take the necessary steps to get yourself regrounded and reconnected and work through those, versus before when you were essentially, I know for myself, like I would always be in fight or flight mode. There was no feeling safety and at ease or anything like that. It was just, I was in a constant state of worry all the time.
Yes.
No matter how many amazing things were going on in my life, in the back of my mind, I was in that constant state of worry, constant stress, anxiety, overthinking everything. And, honestly, it weighs heavily on you, and is ultimately for your health it's really not good for your health.
Absolutely
If we're
not.
going to be
No.
honest, it's really not good for your health to
Mm-mm.
be in that constant state of worry and stress. Like it's not. And so when you have that awareness, it helps you to really start that healing journey. So I'm curious for you, and you don't have to go into complete specifics if you don't want to, but I'm curious to know, what are some of the things that you have acknowledged from your past that you have identified and created more awareness around, maybe that is contributing to the anxiety that you had, and bringing you up to this moment where you've worked through it and you're healing through your anxiety to be, a better version of yourself and the best version of yourself?
Absolutely. I would share some of the big moments with you where I felt, hey, that contributed.
Mm-hmm.
So my mother was a very young mom, and she was pregnant 42 weeks with me.
Oh, wow.
And when, yes, that was very extreme. So when they rushed her to the emergency room, the doctor told them, ma'am, I cannot promise you that your baby is alive.
Mm.
And I think even though I was not born at that moment, her feelings of, oh my goodness, is my baby going to be alive? Am I going to have the opportunity to hold my baby? I think that all those feelings became the world in which I was born to. So it was from the get-go, it was a struggle. It was fighting for survival. And my mom very proudly tells me that I was a fighter. Every day of my life, I fought. I was very ill when I was born. I was in the incubator for 2 weeks when neither she or nor my dad could help me. I didn't even have a blanket with me. I was laying there with just my nappy, and I had an IV put into my head because I kept pulling it out. I was very ill. Survival of the fittest from the moment I was born. And that became the space from which I started to live my life. And there were numerous times when I was not supposed to be alive. I had terrible accidents. I was in an armed robbery. All things that's supposed to kill me. but yet I survived. And that survival, I think that desire for survival made me constantly being in fight or flight mode. Even though I didn't understood it back then, I was in fight or flight mode. Adrenaline being rushed, cortisol being rushed, because I need to survive this. If I'm not surviving this, then I'm going to die. And today I can say I'm grateful for all of those opportunities and all of those things happening, because it made me stronger, even though I didn't realize it back then. Today I can be strong despite not being given the opportunity to be born alive. Here I am today, 36 years later, alive.
And I think that's a really powerful thing that you stated, that despite everything you've been through and the struggle that you've had and the constant need and struggle for survival, you're still here. You're grateful for those moments, those experiences, because they've made you stronger, they've made you wiser, they've given you a different perspective on life and really helped shape who you are today. And I think that's a really beautiful thing to share and to really acknowledge, because so many people can look at all the bad things in their life and get so hung up on the victim mentality of, well, this happened to me and this is why I am the way that I am. And they look at it from a negative point of view. But when you can appreciate the things that you've gone through and see the silver lining or the beauty in your mess or the glass half full situation, it really does help your healing journey and help you grow, emotionally, mentally, spiritually. And it just helps transcend your life in a different direction, and really does transform it overall. So it's, I commend you for that, because not a lot of people are able to make that connection and have that shift in perspective about the circumstances and things that they've gone through, really challenging moments and pivotal things in their life.
Yes, absolutely. And I do realize that it's not always that easy to see the silver lining. If you're stuck in the circumstances, the silver lining is not there. When the veil of darkness is upon you, there's no silver lining. And that is okay. We need to honor the moment, the process we are in order to move past that.
Absolutely. It's hard to gain perspective when you're in that moment. And that's why it's, hindsight's always 2020. When you look back at these moments, and this is something that, I always encourage a lot of my clients do, and, friends and family, is reflect, look back on your life and journal through this, reflect on what that meant for you, how it's changed you, because it's going to give you a very profound perspective on things when you can go back with a clear head and see what actually happened, rather than being, stuck in the doom and gloom and this darkness and where everything is just not perfect by any means. And you're not in this space to be able to process what's actually happening, or they're finding the good in that moment. It's if you can, kudos to you, but I don't know anyone that has been able to do that while they're in the moment, in the thick of the darkness, experiencing it firsthand. It usually comes after, once the veil has lifted and they're coming into the light, and they can see things more clearly. The fog has been lifted.
That is a very good way of saying it. You can see clearly. In that moment, it's murky, it's dark. Once you move through that, it becomes clear.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Okay, so once you have identified where some of the things that have triggered you in the past or that have helped shape you who you are, what are some of the things that you have done to work through your healing? Did you do meditation? Obviously, I know that you've done prayer. Did you do, journal writing? What some of the things that were your go-to methods to really work through dismantling a lot of the things that happened throughout your life to really change the trajectory of where you wanted to go for the future?
That's a very good question. And the process is always the best part for me, moving through that. So I journaled. I think that is one of the best ways to work through stuff coming up, because once you start writing and you see them on black and white, it's not so what's the word I'm looking for? It's not so
well, I know for me, like when I journal, it gives me a reality check.
yes. Yes.
I can take the mess that's in my head that I'm not able to process clearly. And when I can see it and read it, it really gives me a reality check to really see just maybe how dark my thoughts are, or
Yes.
skewed the reality is, or whatever the case may be is in that situation. But it really helps bring things to light for me, so to speak, because
Yes.
it really does help me see the truth and what I'm really holding on to. And for me, like when I journal, some people are like, oh, do you write like a Dear Diary journal? I'm like, no, I don't.
No.
When I was a teen, yeah, totally.
Mm.
I did the Dear Diary. I said, but now if I'm really struggling and having a bad day, and I just need to get something off my chest and I don't have anyone that I can really talk to, or maybe I don't want to talk to anybody. I just need to vent, so to speak. I
Yes.
write it in a journal and I just write and write and write and just keep writing until I have nothing left to say. I may keep that paper in the journal. I may rip it out and burn it. It just depends on how I'm feeling, but I can release it. And it's a therapeutic type of process for me to
Yes.
be able to let that go, speak my truth, however nasty it might be.
Yes.
And and mean and ugly, but I speak my truth, I get it out and just say what I need to be said. And then I can reflect and I can move
Yes.
forward and start working through the healing process, or taking the steps necessary to rectify the situation if there's a problem, or whatever the case may be. But journaling is, I'm a huge advocate for it, and it's something that has made a profound impact on me throughout my life for various things, whether it be for healing or just finding clarity and a strategy for my business, or there's even times that I've written my prayers to God down in there because I wanted to make sure that I
Yes.
remembered them.
Yes.
Things like that. Like my journals have become kind of a multitude of things for
Yes.
me. And I just put everything I want in there. Like it's my journal. I'm not worried about, well, this is my prayer journal, or this is my journal only for business stuff. Like I have my
It's all
journal,
one.
and whatever I need to share in that, it goes in there, because it's going to help
Absolutely.
cleanse the soul, so to speak, give me perspective and help me, get moving in the right direction of whatever direction I need to go.
Absolutely. Journaling has really helped me with gaining perspective on whatever the situation need be. So journaling is very important for me as well, and I'm glad we are in sync with that. The second thing that I'm really mindful of these days, and people, when I tell them this, they think I'm kind of weird, but I'm just going to put that out there because it has worked wonders for me. I'm really taking the moment to check in with my cycle. I know my cycle by heart, and I know the days when I feel bad. I can tell you, oh, this is going to be a shitty day because it's this day. This is going to be the best day because it's this day. I'm really mindful of where I am in my cycle, what my body needs in that moment, and I provide that. I don't give or keep from myself what I need. I honor my body for its desires, and I work towards giving it that. And the third thing that I'm really, really mindful these days about is to rest, to sleep well. Anxiety causes you to either sleep nothing or sleep so much. I now honor the sleep cycle. If I need to take a nap in the afternoons, I do that without feeling guilty.
I know. And I used to feel so guilty about that.
Yes.
Like I have a to-do list a mile long, but I would be so tired that I couldn't even keep my eyes open because my anxiety would be so bad. And
yes,
I would feel so guilty for resting, even for 30 minutes or an hour, just taking a cat nap, so to speak. So much guilt about it because
yes,
clients need me. I've got emails that need to be responded to. I need to get the dishes done, or whatever it was. But there's so much guilt.
yes.
I had so much guilt. And once I learned to
Yes.
release that and honor a period of rest, that me resting is not doing anything. Me
No.
resting is actually doing something, is taking
Yes.
care of myself and taking care of
Yes.
my needs to be secure in whatever is going on, so that I can be a better mom. I can be a better spouse. I can show up for my clients and what have you. So I'm all for afternoon naps. I even tell my son when he's had a bad day and I'm like, did you rest at rest time today? I did, mommy. And I'm like, mom took a nap today too. Mom rested.
Yes. Yes.
And so it's opening that conversation even with my son, that it's okay to pause and take a rest when we need it.
Yes.
Like, it's nothing to feel guilty about. But I can relate. Like, I felt so guilty about resting in the afternoon, taking a nap, doing whatever I needed to do just for me, because you know me, I'm busy. I hustle all day
Yes.
long.
Yes. And sometimes you just cannot hustle the whole day long. You
Mhm.
need to honor the rest. So,
Mhm.
and let go of the guilt.
Mhm. Absolutely. And
Yes.
with anxiety, I find a lot of people with anxiety that I talk to, we have a lot of guilt around a lot of things that we feel we should do, and a lot of things we feel that we shouldn't do. And so then we have this
Yes.
guilt, and we have this inner dialogue of almost like the devil and the angel sitting on your shoulder all the time, trying
Yes.
to get you to do one thing or the other. And you have that it's that constant inner war with ourselves. When
Yes.
you're really struggling a lot with, anxiety, at least that's how it is for me. And it's learning how to identify that inner dialogue and work through it to be able to choose it and be comfortable with your decision, and honor the decision that you're making, and knowing that it's intuitively it's the best and the right decision that you need in that moment.
Yes. Absolutely. Absolutely. Honoring. And with honoring, it comes with listening. Listening, you said the words intuitively.
Mm-hmm.
Get in touch with your body, get in touch with your mind. It's holding all the answers you seek.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Be
absolutely.
mindful and listen.
Absolutely. And even with you, like, really tuning into your cycle, for, obviously for the other women that are here that are tuning in, like, that really is a key thing to really identify, because when you start tracking your cycles, and when you're going to start to feel, maybe a little bit more aggression, maybe you're going to feel more
Yes.
sluggish, when you're going to
Yes.
be craving maybe more of the sweets or the comfort foods. And when you can anticipate those things, it helps you to prepare to be able to work through them. And it has a less of an impact on you overall, because you have that awareness, you have the understanding,
Yes.
and you're honoring whatever the case may be is for you in that situation. There was a course that I actually took, an e-course, and it was about, you'll find this interesting, it was about the 4 elements and how to work your business around the 4 elements. And
Okay.
everyone has their own 4 elemental cycle, and it's not the same for everybody. And so you learn how to track what element you're in, basically, in a monthly cycle. And it was interesting for me to see what elemental cycle I was in during that time of the month for me, and how it impacted my business. And basically, long story short, like, when you're in that moment, you're typically you're in like the earth element. You need to be low key, vegging out, type of thing. It's not where you're in the fire element, where you're trying to sell and you're high energy, stuff
Yes.
like that, or things like that. And it gives you a different outlook on how to look at these elements and how your cycle is, and really tuning into that. And there's people that look at focusing on their cycle with like the moonology, the phases of the moon, and they can identify how their cycle can be in sync with the moon, and how that impacts them as a whole. And oh my gosh,
And that is amazing.
yeah, like, this stuff is like, it's so mind-boggling and mind-blowing for me, because who would have ever thought to think, yeah,
Yes.
let me see how this works with the moon and how my cycle is and things like that, or looking at the 4 elements and how does my cycle fit in with these 4 elements, or whatever, it is. But when you stop and you take a look at it and you start tracking this stuff, you can see those patterns. And when you
Yes.
see those patterns, oh my
Yes.
gosh, like, it can make things so much easier. You
So
know,
much easier.
this is like telling your husband, like, hey, you know, or your significant other, like the next 3 days, I'm going to be really crabby and irritable. So basically
Yes.
just stay out of my way.
Yes.
Like, just stay out of my way. Like, don't confront me. Don't come at me with any nonsense. Like, it's a good time to just leave me alone. Give me my space.
Yes. Yes.
And you can have that open communication because you
Yes.
know where you are and how that's going to impact you. So I love that
Absolutely.
that you log that. And so for me, I don't find that to be really weird at all. Like, it's I think it's actually really smart to be able to do that.
It makes the world of difference.
Mhm.
As a woman, you have a cycle, and that cycle is something that can be honored and
Mhm.
celebrated.
Mhm.
We grew up with, hey, it's that time of the month, la la la
Mhm.
la. But it's something that's beautiful, and start living in the beauty of it.
Mhm. Yes.
Mm.
And I think that is a key point to make too. As we are taught growing up, we're taught that it's not something beautiful, that it's gross, that we shouldn't honor
Yes.
it, that it should be kept private. And you know, we have these beliefs that are instilled upon us about what we should look and how we should view our cycles. And
Yes.
you know, for me, it's almost like it reduces the aspect of your femininity and the
Absolutely.
essence of who you are. And you know, as odd as this may sound to some of you, but as someone that has struggled with infertility and continues to struggle with infertility, were times that I wouldn't get my monthly cycle. And so when I get mine, yes, does it suck? Absolutely. No denying it. I mean, let's be honest, it does. But I have learned to be grateful every month that I receive it, because I know that that my body is healing, and that I'm working towards the potential of possibly being able to conceive, or whatever the notion is, right? Like, it's, you know, when you go through a period in your life where you don't have cycles, or you've got a lot of health issues, you know, you can't honor that. You know, quite frankly, I felt less of a woman.
Absolutely. Yes.
You know, and I had to go through and work through a lot of that. So, you know, I've learned that even though it's not the most pleasant experience every month, but I've learned to look at it and be grateful that, you know, I'm cycling and it's coming every month, and it may not be completely regular, you know, but it still comes every month. And
It's
to just
there.
really honor that journey and honor who I am as a woman and embrace that, because it means so much for me and my body, knowing that everything that I'm doing is obviously working to help regulate myself naturally and holistically, and to really help heal my body from the inside out. So there's my little tidbit and my philosophy on that from a different perspective.
That's a beautiful perspective. Thank you for sharing.
Yeah, you bet. Okay, so now that you've talked about things that you've done in terms of what you've done to heal yourself. We've talked about a little bit of your backstory and what have you. For those that are going through something similar to you, what kind of advice would you like to give them? Words of wisdom.
If it was me back then last year, I would tell myself, go to the ocean.
Mm-hmm.
We spoke about the cycles and you spoke about the elements, and I don't know if people honor the astrology signs that they are in.
Mm-hmm.
For me, it really helped to understand that I'm a Scorpio. My being craves to be near water.
Mm-hmm.
When I didn't do that for 2 years, things fell apart. I didn't know why, but the moment I got back to that place where my soul felt now it can rest, that was the moment I felt the peace.
Yes.
So take a moment and see what your soul is craving, what it is looking for, whether it's water or the forest or the mountains, whatever that is seeking. Go to that place, be still, just take a moment and be still. And in that moment, the answers will come.
Absolutely.
That is what happened to me.
Yeah, I could definitely attest to that. Knowing and so many people look at astrology as like woo woo, way out there and weird. But you know what? The more that I look at and dive into a lot of these out there type of topics, so to speak, it's really interesting and fascinating for me. And I learn so much. And for me as a Virgo, I'm an earth sign. So
Okay.
for me, I just need to be out in nature.
Yes.
Like just be outside in nature. But I know that while being out in nature is one of the places that grounds and connects me and really helps me be in, essentially in my element. I know for me, the component of nature that helps me thrive the best is being near water, being near the ocean, hearing the birds, the waves crashing, things like that. And that's the one thing I miss the most of being here in the state of Wisconsin. There's no oceans for me. And, so when I lived in Florida, oh my gosh, that was just the most amazing thing. I could just go down to the beach and sit there for hours and time would fly by and I'd just be kind of in my zone. But so now I have to look for other ways to be able to be out in nature and to be able to still get that water element in me, that, whatever it may be. So for me, it might be walking along the river here in town. And sometimes I can hear, the waves crashing if it's, whatever the case may be. Is, I mean, they're not huge waves from the ocean, but I can still hear stuff and I can hear the birds and it's nature, but I'm by the water. So it's helping me and helping from, a soul perspective to really reconnect. So, I strongly encourage you guys to look at that too. Look and see where are you in astrology? What are you? And really dig into, what facets of your astrological sign, really are unique to you, because when you discover it and you honor it, it really opens the door of so many intricate things about you and a deeper understanding of who you are. I mean, it is unbelievable how accurate that stuff is. I mean, so accurate. I'm like, wow, I feel like these people, like when I read some,
they wrote this for me.
Like it's so spot on, and it kind of gives you chills because it is so accurate. And it's like, how did they know?
Yes.
And then of course, with my overthinking, with my anxiety brain, it's like, well, is everyone like this or is it just me? And I have like 500 questions because that's just how my brain works. But it really does help you to really understand yourself better, so taking a look at that. I mean, you don't have to necessarily go in and read your horoscopes and do all of that stuff. I mean, yeah, if you want to, that's great. I like to do it the day after and see how accurate it was from the day before and, reflect on that. But, just really understanding your astrological sign can really open the doors of really a deeper understanding of you. It really can. So to kind of wrap things up, I want to ask you one other question, because I know that you recently went through and read a book, and it was on the soul coaching, and it's actually a book that I'm working through too. So thank you for that recommendation.
Oh, wonderful.
Yeah, oh my gosh, it's been an experience. Let's put it that way. And I'm curious to know, because I know that you just recently finished it, how has that book helped you with your healing journey, with everything that's been going on? How has it helped open the doors to a deeper understanding of you?
I'm still in the process of doing the book. We are busy with home renovations as well. So there are things happening to help me release what's no longer serving me. For me, the most significant chapter so far is the one about the fire. And not just about the thing of fire, but it's stepping into creativity and getting back that spark of what is most important to me. So I hope that answers your question. For me, working with the fire is really powerful to me. And I have a fire sign daughter as well. She's a Leo, and Leo are fire signs. So it's interesting to see how all of those balance out.
Yeah. So for you, I have a question on that with you, really tuning into the fire element and the fire sign. So when you're journaling, or well, even if you're not journaling, maybe you write something on a piece of paper, Do you find that now that you've gone through the book that you tend to burn journal pages or burn things that are no longer serving you as a symbolism of burning it down and regrowth and renewal?
I do Kapalabhati breathings for yoga, and that helps to raise the core energy. And when I do that, that is where I feel my strength. So I write down in my journal, but I don't have that desire to burn. I have the desire to burn within.
Gotcha.
My word for this year is arise, to arise like the phoenix, and the phoenix rises out from the ashes that burned it. And that is what I feel when I do the breathing. I burn the ashes and I rise in that fire.
I love it. I think that's really powerful. And I'm glad I asked that question because I was curious if you swayed to burning things like so many people do, or if you use a different method. So thank you for
Yes.
sharing that, because it helps people understand that you can burn differently
You
and
can
really still
burn
connect
differently.
with the fire element and really, putting yourself into alignment and shifting things in your life. So that's wonderful.
Absolutely.
So perfect. Awesome. All right. Well, I think this is a really great point for us to kind of wrap things up. So I just want to say, thank you to everyone who has been tuning in. Thank you to Sonika for sharing your story and having this candid conversation about anxiety and everything that you've gone through in your life and how you've really transformed your inner pain. This has been fun. I always enjoy talking to you. We always have a good conversation.
Thank you. And thank you for bringing this into life. I think there are many people out there who is ready to move through the pain and transform that into triumph. So thank you, Kayla, for
You're
bringing
welcome.
this to life.
Yeah, you're welcome. And there's, with this series, there's like a story for everybody in every situation.
Yes.
Practically possible. So it's a wonderful and beautiful experience to be able to hear so many backstories and things that people have gone through. And let's be honest, a lot of the women that are sharing their story as part of the series are people that I have, like yourself, that I have known for 5-6 years.
Yes.
And it's been really fun for me to really learn some different things about you guys that I haven't learned before or that I didn't know. And see a different side of you. So it's been an honorable experience for me to be able to be on the other side of things and be able to hear everyone's stories and just, experience and see firsthand how things that have gone disarray in your life, how you have pulled it together and, really come out on the other side with triumph.
Thank you. And thank you for having me.
You're welcome. Yeah, you bet. All right, everybody. Well, just as a reminder, if you really love Sonika's story and you want to hear more about it, I have a wonderful way for you to be able to do that. Her story will be included in the Embracing the Journey anthology, where over 10 brave women share their stories of hope, healing, and triumph over adversity. And that book actually releases on July 15th, which is a week before my next best-selling book, Transforming Inner Pain, releases on July 22nd. So the anthology will actually be a bonus to my book, which is amazing. So for any of you that purchase a physical copy of the book, you will get the ebook of the anthology for free. Whoop, whoop, which is awesome.
Wow.
Yeah, so the Embracing the Journey anthology is not available for pre-order yet, but it will be released on the 15th. But if you'd like to pre-order my book, you're welcome to do that. Both of them will be available on Amazon and other online retailers as they are released. So thank you so much for tuning in. It's been amazing as always. And as always, for everyone else, make it an awesome day. And until next time, we will see you online. Bye.
Bye.